Katrina Aditya, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I spoke to your director, Abhishek Kapoor, recently, and he said what fascinated him about Great Expectations was the idea that love can be so complex. That when you're in love with someone, they can either help you rise and achieve your full potential, or they can crush you. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, what interested me in the story is just the different layers and the different prisms through which you're looking at love, because you're looking at it through the eyes of people that process love differently. You know, kind of one is living in the aftermath of an incident and how love can kind of affect you and drive your life in a certain way and make you a certain way. One is still kind of discovering how she feels it, and you know, so it does explore all these different kind of aspects of love, which is very interesting.
I think the complexities of love, and there are some people who are very realistic and pragmatic about love and their approach, and how, you know, one should never let themselves get too carried away with one's feelings, and they have a very calm notion of love and the way it should be. Those people, I think, in many ways, I think they might live a slightly calmer, easier life, but I think, unfortunately, I'm not one of those people.
You find you more invested?
I think very much so, and exactly as you put it, that, you know, I do believe that healthy love has the ability to take you to incredible heights, and destructive love, which sometimes it can turn to, that can completely, you know, really take a person to the absolute depths of low, you know, and can really take you to some incredible lows. And for me, because I guess inherently I do believe that every time someone comes up or is making or adapting a passionate, intense love story, it always really excites me. Like, instantly my eyes go up. Yeah, it's that's kind of the dramatic side of love. Or then the other side, which I really like, is that then like a light rom-com, like I say, When Harry Met Sally. That's another thing which another side of me which I love. But when I heard that Abhishek was going to be adapting Great Expectations, I thought, okay, that's a really good idea. Like, why has no one done that before?
Your character in the film, Fitoor, she's modeled after Estella from Great Expectations. Now, Estella has been described as someone who doesn't know her heart. She's someone who's beautiful but cold. Those are the exact words. She's a tease. She's been raised to be a heartbreaker. Of you, Abhishek said that you often don't know what's going on in Katrina's mind. You don't know what she's thinking.
And when we're saying you, he means he.
He said it comes through. He said his personal kind of opinion is that. Have you heard that one before?
Oh yeah. Very much so. I think that's very much how I am in my professional space. It's very hard to read what I'm personally thinking or personally feeling inside. But as me, the person that I am, like, do I know what I'm feeling and thinking? Oh yeah. I'm very clear. For the most part, all of us go through our moments and our days where we also don't know what's going on, and we're confused and all sorts of things, don't have the answers. But for the most part, I know what I'm thinking. But yeah, my what do you call it? My demeanor in my professional space, because I believe that your professional space is your professional space. So I try not to kind of bring too much of the personal thoughts in my head out there in that space, because I have a lot of thoughts in my head.
Okay. Are you satisfied with that assessment?
I'm going to get another opinion. Answer honestly.
Is it hard to tell what's going on in her head?
It is hard to tell what's going on in her head. And she kind of plays her cards close to her chest, and she feels like, I think, comfortable that way, because you don't need to let on more. What I also kind of admire in different ways, she doesn't kind of change herself to please or appease people. Which is a kind of shows you strength of character in a way, because a lot of us kind of try and pander to a certain thing. So it might come across as she's not letting on too much, but that's just how I think she feels comfortable.
But I'm not, but you know what, like, obviously, because you spend more time talking to others. You know most of the time what I'm thinking, more or less. You're not
because
in my mind.
Kind of become friends, right?
Yeah. So now that you know me a little better,
right?
Now you can tell, right? Like what I'm thinking and stuff.
Most even now. But
I tell you all the time.
I kind of give myself a little credit for being a little perceptive, so I do know, but I don't kind of read too much into it.
I feel like Adi always knows what I'm thinking.
I do actually.
Maybe that's see.
It's interesting the word you used. You said strength. I want to ask you, Katrina, do you think of yourself as an inherently strong person? I would imagine that it requires a lot of strength and a lot of grace to really go out every day to promote a film which involves, meeting journalists every day at a time when you know that there's really only one thing that they want to talk to you about. It requires a lot of grace to go out and do that job when you know that really the world only wants to know about your personal life, about your relationship. Do you find that you have a lot of strength?
It's a funny question.
I'm not sure I want to go out and meet people and have to kind of steer the conversation in other ways when you know that they really want to.
She handles it so well. This small face is just
like grace. It's not even I've seen other people and they can they get wild when
she doesn't.
She doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think I've got like three small answers, three different parts for that thing. The first part is, if anyone ever describes my behavior as graceful, then for me that's a big compliment and that's a big achievement, because I really respect my work, and I don't mean that in a frivolous way. Of course we all do. But for me, I guess also, because I guess, as most of us did, I've kind of come up slowly. It's not like I was born to the manner born, as you say. So I really, really respect everything that I have, and to me it's something that I really try and guard very carefully, because I've worked very hard. Of course I've been very blessed as well, but I really have tried to work very hard to achieve whatever today that God has given me. But I think it is important that you treat it like a job. What I feel sometimes happens is because it is the entertainment industry, and it is in the industry so full of glamour and fun, and like you're saying, what do you call it, like gossip or speculation or controversy. Sometimes I think you can get carried away with that and start reacting and behaving in this manner, which is, okay, this is what I feel right now, or this is, so you kind of start putting yourself out there.
I feel like you made those mistakes in the past where you have spoken and you have said, and have you learned from that, or is that just how you were?
I think the last time I remember really being riled up was a good few years ago now. That's 7, 8 years ago. Yeah, where someone asked a question and I was like, how would you like if you answered that? I responded back with a bit of aggression.
That's what you have learned from her. To not, like, if someone's taking it up, she just takes it down a notch. She doesn't go and meet you and we've done a whole movie together. Sometimes I get a little riled up about things. She just take it down. I'm like,
sometimes the place to win the battle is not necessarily by charging onto the field and meeting someone right in the middle. There's sometimes a time and a place for that, but sometimes you got to wait and hold your peace. And as you said, I think that's a beautiful word you use, grace, and dignity. A little dignity never goes amiss.
Sure. I think that's not like you haven't been in that situation before. It's not like you haven't been at a place when people only wanted to talk to you about your supposed breakup or your romantic relationship. Have you been able to handle it with much grace?
I haven't really had to handle anything, because first of all, I don't read half the stories that are out there.
Well, so the funny thing about this is you don't have to read it. It's always brought to your notice, right? I mean, journalists will inevitably bring it up.
No, but journalists will say, how do you feel that this was written about? And I'll be like, man, I don't even know what you're talking about. So in some senses, ignorance is bliss, and I don't really get affected by any of the speculation or stories, because I think if you're going to be, like you said, in the entertainment industry, and you're going to let your mood every day be decided by what's written about you in the papers, then you're in for a life of pain, right? So I found a way so far to kind of just disconnect, but I find like it is part and parcel, so I do talk about it every once in a while, but I've kind of held fort so far and kept my stand fairly simple. So
it's interesting what you said. You said a lot of it is fabricated. Katrina, I remember us having a conversation long ago, but I remember you saying that there's always some truth to most of the stories, but very rarely is something completely untrue. Do you still believe that?
Probably when we were discussing that, it must have been in relevance to something. Like sometimes if you take a statement in isolation, it doesn't bear so much relevance later. Now that also I don't know at what point this was, but if you ask me today as I sit here, I don't think so, no. I think there's some stories that you really wonder where has this come from, and there are some stories that of course there may be some connection, and when I say connection, it could be minuscule also, but then maybe.
Okay.
I think today also, since the time I've been started working in the industry, I have seen a huge change in the media presence and also the platforms now that there is available, digital media, social media. I remember when Twitter started, being kind of being introduced in the agency. I remember the digital agency talking about it with me, and I was like, huh? What are you talking about? You guys are crazy. That's the next big thing. I mean,
neighbors you are, right, on social media?
Yeah, but I don't know how much credit that is, because now when I look back, like someone on my team was reminding me that, he kind of put his finger up and said, the digital agency, when they first started bringing this here, they came to you first, or like one of the first people. I was like, no, they didn't. He was like, yeah, they did. And he told them that, what are they talking about?
So what makes me feel like I'm committing career suicide.
So sometimes you don't have the vision for the things which are going to be huge. And in terms of social media, I didn't have that vision. That's it.